Hey, I'm finally back. It's been about 10 months since I started my latest project, which is a book that rebuilds the social sciences from the ground up using first principles. It's been an enormous project, definitely the hardest thing that I've ever accomplished in any domain, not just intellectual or as a writer, but it's right up there with some of the more crazy things that I've pulled off in my life, like running from one side of the Grand Canyon to the other and back in a day by myself, and traversing 5 of the 15 14ers in California in 12 hours. And I've done a bunch of crazy things, like summited all of the major peaks in the Tetons over the course of 3 days. But writing this book is definitely up there with the most extreme and all-consuming tasks that I've ever set for myself. In its current form, it's about 1,400 pages. I'm working on a final draft right now. I'm going to begin pre-sales soon. The final draft hopefully will cut maybe about 200 of those pages, trim it down a little bit more than what it is right now. And I'm happy to start talking about the book and start talking about the ideas contained in the book. It's been a really wild journey for me, even articulating them and discovering them myself. When I started the book, I had really no idea what I was getting into. I had a few really critical insights about how human society worked and about how human behavior worked that I had never heard articulated elsewhere. And as I started to build a coherent framework around those ideas, I just kept pulling the thread. I kept pulling this string, and following it wherever the logic took me. And in that process, I essentially wound up with a completely coherent framework or theory describing the nature of reality in a way that has never been articulated before. So, as that might sound grandiose or something like that, but it isn't. That's all I could say about it. It's not grandiose at all. In fact, I'm probably underselling what I've accomplished. You'll have to just judge for yourself what you think about it if you stick around on my channel and see what's coming. I've already started publishing some of the key concepts of it on my Substack, which is called Obscenity Press. You can view those now at obscenity.press. And yeah, it's weird. I've been doing this work. Initially, about a few years ago, I was visualizing my future as somebody with a writing career. And now I really don't look at it that way at all. I look at it as I'm fulfilling a utility function. My very specific life experiences and the way my brain works gave me a certain capability and willingness to work against my own survival interests that is pretty rare, I think. That's certain knowledge you have to pay a real cost to either understand and to acquire. Not all knowledge and not all truth tracking is beneficial for basic survival goals of an organism. And a lot of the work that I've been doing falls into that category. I had a vision, a vision before I'd quit my job, where I was thinking about, what does the path forward look like for me and how do I get there? And in that vision, I realized that I needed to just do the thing that my instincts were telling me to do, and that was to focus everything on my creative output, do exactly what my spirit and my body was telling me to do. And in the vision, I realized that what that was going to entail was to thread my entire life through the eye of a needle. And that's turned out to be exactly right. The eye of the needle is the perfect metaphor because it's extremely small. And what can fit through the eye of the needle is essentially nothing. So over the last 10 months or even 12 months when I was working on the Tao, I've had to give up basically everything about who I was previously in order to fit through that needle, in order to thread my existence into this extremely small and narrow path. It's a situation where there's only one possible way of making it through, and it's going to cost everything to get there. And so that kind of brings me to where I am now. I've given up just about everything that was stable in my life in order to do this, and from my savings to my habits to many friendships, my job, a coherent and legible identity as a person in the world, relationships. Yeah, really nothing has fit through the hole. But what's strange about it is I feel incredibly charged and incredibly lucid, and I have no doubts whatsoever that I've made the right choice. And my life just isn't about security anymore, and it isn't about, it's literally only about one thing, which is finishing this book that I'm working on, getting the ideas out there. And, then I also have another maybe 3 books already in process that were things I couldn't fit into this 1,400-page book, believe it or not. So anyway, yeah, this is like the 10th time I tried to record this video because I've been in such a state of mental resistance about getting back on YouTube and about sort of starting to put myself out there again. But so it'll probably get better, but the reality of that is that the ideas in my recent work are truth-telling, but they're the kind of truth that no powerful coalition will want to hear. Whether you're on the left or whether you're on the right, whether you are benefiting from financial wealth or whether you're benefiting from identity characteristics and class distinctions, this work will threaten all of those positions, and it will talk about reality in a way that leaves no room for load-bearing fictions. So the hesitance that I feel is one of self-protection. I recognize that I'm going to ruffle feathers and that I'm going to, at some points, register as existential threat to certain ways of thinking and certain ways of being. And it is what it is. So anyway, you'll see what I mean when I start to talk about it more. But for now, this is just a quick video to reactivate the channel, to tell you kind of what I've been up to, and to talk to you a little bit about this book, which is called The World Destroyer's Handbook: The Thermodynamics of Human Coordination, a unified metabolic theory of human social behavior. And it's coming soon. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned.